Mr. Chaussade, thank you so much for being on Bloomberg TV today. You just heard from the Medef, from the French Prime Minister Edouard Philippe. Are you disappointed with some delays in tax reforms for companies?
Not really. I think that once again the Prime Minister defined very clearly his policy, and I think he insists again on some of the various subjects he believes in. And I think that with GDP growth which is slightly lower than expected, he has to adjust the budget in order to be in line with his requirements, especially the deficit level compared to the GDP. So all in all, I'm not disappointed at all.
1 year ago when we were here, Macron had just been elected president of France. There was a lot of expectations from the executives. Is there still this Macron mania, or are we totally over the honeymoon period now?
First of all, a 1 year honeymoon is something which is already quite long. I hope everybody could have that, you know. But globally, myself, I am not disappointed at all. I think he's in line with what he promised. Of course, from promises to reality is sometimes difficult, but he has already started a series of reforms which, in my view, are very important. About, of course, all the way for workers, relationship between workers and companies. That's an example. There is a series of new reforms which are coming in, which are in line with which is necessary for France to become again agile country with a lot of initiatives, a lot of startups, etc. To do that, we need more flexibilities, and this government has been doing that for the first year. So I think we cannot be disappointed.
We're seeing French growth.
All the contrary. Sorry.
We're seeing French growth slowing down in the first half. How is the third quarter going for Suez so far? Are you seeing some kind of slowdown in volumes of recycled waste in Europe, for example, as industrial production slows?
Clearly, we have to be cautious because in July and August I have no number, and July I have just preliminary numbers. But what I have seen, what I see up to now, is totally in line with the first 6 months of the year, which mean volumes which are higher than last year. Now, of course, we have also some headwinds. For example, the cost of gas oil for the trucks is going up, which is not a good news. We have also, I should say, some up and down on raw material prices. So there is good and bad news, but up to now, in terms of what I can see, is still, for us, continue to grow the same path than the last 6 months.
Are you concerned that some geopolitical tensions, like trade tensions, could actually spill over and impact industrial production?
Yes, of course, we have to be concerned. We don't know if it's on short term, medium term, long term, but yes, I don't think it's good for business to have such tensions. I do not believe that to put tax on productions and to try to tax imports from one country and with retaliation from the third country to the one which has been doing that first, I do not believe it's good. My major concern would be that facing uncertainties, companies decide to slow down their investment, which I think today is for me the potential major risk. Another one will be to have overproduction, not on the short term but on medium terms. You know, if you start to have a factory in each country, the allocations will be much more difficult, and I do not believe we can saturate all the plants worldwide. Therefore, yes, we have some concern, and I try to still be optimistic, saying that at the end of the day, politicians people in charge of the countries will be reasonable in the way they handle this crisis.
Even the US president will be reasonable?
It's a good question, I have no answer.
We've seen very severe droughts in Europe, the US, elsewhere this summer. Which areas in the world are likely to face very critical water shortages in the coming years?
You know, as I used to say, and I already told you that a few years ago, we know that by 2030, 2035, probably 40% of the world populations will live in area where you could have shortage of water. So shortage of water is something which is going to become a regular shortage. And therefore, of course, we have to put in place, we still have some years, but not that much, policy in order to manage properly the water we have. What does it mean? It means more technologies in order to give only the necessary water to any site, which would be your household, it could be industry, it could be agricultural needs. But I think we have to really focus on the way we are using water. Of course, we have to make sure that all the water which we use are properly treated, not only for the environment, but also because it can be reused. We have of course, desalination process. We have a series of means, but at the end of the day, anticipations, we have to prepare ourselves to what is going to come or what is coming in the next 10 or 15 years, and we will see more and more dry periods in many different countries. We have been speaking about, for example, west of the States, California. This year we have been talking a lot about South Africa. We have been talking about Australia, and it seems that once again dry seasons is coming back, very dry period is coming back to Australia. Of course we have Middle East, but we have China, we have India. The number of countries, Mexico, number of countries where shortage will or are occurring is each day bigger, each day the number is higher. So yes, it's a major subject in the coming years.
Everything you mentioned could be seen as one reason for Nicolas Hulot, the French energy minister, quitting the Macron government today. Were you shocked? Was that a surprise? Is this a failure for the Macron government that such a popular minister quits over disagreements on climate change?
No, I think it's a shame. I think it's a shame because, of course, Minister Hulot represents a vision of what could be the policy we have to follow for the next 15 or 20 years. As he said this morning, he has no real disagreement with the government, but he believes that we have to go much faster than the way the government is handling this problem. It is his personal opinion. On my view, it's very difficult to go much faster because you have so many things to change at the same time that if you go too fast, you will not change anything. So really the speed of the change is a really key issue. And I think that the warning of Mr. Hulot is just to say, be careful. He believes that the speed is insufficient. In the meantime, we have to find the right speed, not an easy matter.
Finally, you've just agreed to sell 20% of your US water activities. What's next?
No, I am just doing what I have said to the market in the recent months. I mean, I did a very large acquisition. As you know, we bought GE Water, more than $3 billion acquisition, which is a large one for us. And I always said that I will come back as soon as possible to a 3-time ratio between EBITDA and net debt. One way is to sell some assets. This one, it's an asset which has been, which is value actually in the States at a very high premium. So I take the opportunity, I keep the control, I have a good partner. It's a very nice operation for us.
Mr. Chaussade, many thanks for being with Bloomberg TV today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.